it's like baking a cake. You have to put all the ingredients in. So you have to figure out, you know, what's your reasonable life expectancy? What's the reasonable life expectancy of your spouse? What are your other sources of income? Are there pension options that you have? What are the pension options? Are there survivor options on that? What about your assets? What about your retirement assets? How are you going to take income from that? There's a whole list of things that you have to consider when you're deciding how you want to take your Social Security benefits. So it's not quite as simple as, okay, well, I'm 62 now and this benefit's here for me, I might as well take it. You have to really look at, you know, all the other factors that weigh into taking a Social Security benefit.
That brings me to an important point. I mean, we've been doing the Social Security analysis for our clients and for people in the community. Anybody who wants a Social Security analysis of their options, we are more than happy to provide that. Just get in touch with us and we can do that for you, and without compromising any kind of confidentiality. But even more so, what's really exciting is we've developed software that we use that can really go much deeper into this whole income issue, because what it does is it not only analyzes which Social Security is going to be the most lucrative for you over the various potential life expectancies and which strategies to use, but it then takes all the investments and looks at all the investments and integrates the whole system so that you're taking money in the right order. You're managing not only you're managing risk as well, better, and you're making the money last longer. We can design it where income increases over time, which is what really people need, because we all know that inflation is going to be there in the long haul. We may not have a whole lot of it the last 5 years, but historically inflation is more in the 2 or 3% range, and that's going to happen. And if we don't make careful analysis in that regard, that's important. Also, to manage the taxes. If people think that tax rates are high now, they should look on some graphics and some data about how high taxes have been in the past, and that right now we're living in a low inflation, low tax environment. Hard to believe, Harry, as Rich Ashburn used to say, but that's the fact. So unless you analyze, say, oh, well, we got to make some assumptions. Are the tax rates going to stay the same over the next 20 or 30 years, or are they more likely to go up? Well, work a number backwards. You got 50 million people at the payout window, and fewer and fewer people at the pay up window.
Yeah.
And so it becomes critical.
Yeah, I mean, and taxes is one of many things that you have to consider here, Barry. And taxes really impact just about every financial decision that you're going to make in retirement, whether you're talking about an IRA, which you take that money out and it's taxable, and of course there's rules that are centered around that. Once you reach the age of 70 and one half, you have to start taking money out of your IRA account, pay taxes on that. So taxes really are an important factor here. And as we tape this today, we're in the middle of tax season, so taxes are really on the forefront of everyone's mind. And as you stated, we're in a low tax environment, have been for quite some time. And as that starts to heat up, taxes start to heat up, and inflation starts to heat up, we're going to start to see, I believe, increases in the tax rates. So that really kind of leads us down to another path with the Roth IRA, where you do the conversions now, pay the taxes now under today's rates, and then you have tax-free money down the road for you and for your legacy, for your family. So there's all these. It's kind of like putting pieces to a puzzle together. You have your Social Security into what I'll call Social Security integration, and then you have how are you going to take if you have a pension, and even though we see fewer and fewer people retiring with pensions, some people still have them. So there's pension options that you have to consider, and then you know, your retirement accounts. How are they going to become a part of your overall financial plan? So if you're interested in receiving more information about Social Security, you can send us an email. The email address is right up on the screen, or if you want to give us a phone call, we're always available. We do have public seminars that we do from time to time. If you want a listing of our public seminars, you can call us for that information as well. So Barry, anything else that we want to touch on today on regarding Social Security?
Well, we covered some interesting facts and figures about Social Security. To support Social Security. Back when Social Security started, there was, for everybody that was working, there were 16 workers. So 16 workers to provide enough paid-in taxes to support that one recipient. You know, the system built up a surplus over time. Well, now you got 3 workers for one recipient, and you know, you've probably gotten notices in the mail that Social Security sends us, and I think now they don't really send much in the mail anymore. Now most of these things are you have to get things through the internet. But they've told us that I think by 1933 they'll only be able to pay out about 75 cents on the dollar, given the current structure of Social Security. So that goes back to saying, well, if you're worried about Social Security being there for you, if you're in that age bracket where you're getting serious about when to take it, how to take it, Social Security will not disappear on us. It's an $860 billion a year business that isn't just going to disappear, but it will be modified, and more so for the next generations, your children, your grandchildren. They're not going to have probably as much as we have, anybody who's getting it now or close to getting it. But don't let that make your decision, influence your decision. Your benefits will be there for you. It's just that the rules may change, but they're not going to just drastically, they're not going to cut these for people that are in their 60s and even their 50s, because these are the people that vote for those same politicians.
Well, yeah, not only that, it really is a driving force in our economy.
Yeah.
For the average married couple, they're getting over 1/3 of their income from Social Security. So they're not gonna let that go away, because I mean, if they do, that's just gonna put more stress on another part of the system. That's gonna put more stress on Medicaid. So they really have to keep that number moving.
Well, you had mentioned something about uncertainty about Social Security. Yes, there may be a little bit of uncertainty about the exact nature of your benefits when you claim them and what they'll be, but that uncertainty is very, very, very minor compared to the uncertainty of the stock market and the bond market and the whole world of investing. There you're dealing with great uncertainties, great volatility, which means that volatility means the stock's up, stock market's down, the market's up, it's down, and those kind of events are things that are going to, you know, they've been there, we've seen it, and it doesn't seem to be abating to where you can just stick your money in the stock market, set it and forget it kind of investments don't really work when you have the risk of the market. So if you can lay a foundation for your retirement of Social Security and really maximize that, you're putting less strain on your investments ultimately over the long haul. But unfortunately, many people make these decisions looking at the short haul. How's it going to affect me the next 2, 3, 5 years, when they should be, as you mentioned, if they're 62, they have the risk of living another 30, 35 years.
Yeah.
That's the big risk.
There's a whole set of circumstances that you have to look at, and you can't look at Social Security in a vacuum. When you go to take your Social Security benefit, it's like managing a large asset. It's like managing an asset that's worth somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000. So you have to really be smart about how you're going to take this benefit. So you have to, it's like baking a cake, you have to put all the ingredients in. So you have to figure out, you know, what's your reasonable life expectancy? What's the reasonable life expectancy of your spouse? What are your other sources of income? Are there pension options that you have? What are the pension options? Are there survivor options on that? What about your assets? What about your retirement assets? How are you going to take income from that? There's a whole list of things that you have to consider when you're deciding how you want to take your